Mike, that way Mike can see what we've gone through. Mike is like solid as a rock. He's like every single day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the last like 44, 45 sessions. He's always there. I wish I was that consistent and determined.
Yeah,
can
this
you,
Wednesday I work at from 12:30 to 9, so I won't be able to do it.
oh, Wednesday, yeah. So is this a job you're talking about that you've had for a few months or so, or no?
Yeah, I started really recently. I think it was January 10th.
So it's like a call center, huh?
Yeah, work from home call center from for Giant Eagle.
Oh, it's work from home.
I
Yeah,
love working from home.
me too. I don't want to go anywhere. I mean,
Mhm.
we were just at H&R Block and I asked the dude, I said, hey, can we go down next year? Can we do it from home? And he said, yeah, you can actually do the block club or whatever it is. And then you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to see anybody. That's my kind of thing.
That's
I don't
great.
like to go to the stores and say, hey, can I help you? No, you can't help me. I know what I want. So, well, let me read the first text and Sanskrit synonyms and translation. And then you can read, we'll just take turns reading you can read the first and second paragraph because the first one's really short. So this is text 1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Stakamana Parta Yogam Yujan Madashraya Ashram Sayam Samangramam Yata Gnayasi Tach Trinu. Synonyms. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Lord said, Mai, and to me, whoops. I forgot to put this on the, did you see a blackout there for a second?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't think when I speak, I don't think it was, because I've got to actually record this on my camera too, otherwise it'll go blank after a while. Let's see. Okay, so Sri Bhagavana Vacha, the Supreme Lord said, Mai, to me, Shaktamana, mind attached, Partha, Osana Prita, Yogam, self-realization, Yunjan, practicing, Mat Ashraya, in consciousness of me, Krishna consciousness, Ashamsayan, without doubt, Samagram, completely, me, Yata, how, Jagyasi, you can know, Tat, that, Shrinu, try to hear. Translation. Wait a minute, am I on this? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm on the right chapter here. I was just, translation. The Supreme Personality of God had said, now hear, O son of Prita, how, by practicing yoga and full conscious of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. You can read the first and second paragraph.
Okay, purport. In the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad-gītā, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad-gītā, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahma Yoitir, or localized Paramatma realization, is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma, Jyotir, and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full. namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia.
Yeah, it's
One
like
should,
one-stop shopping.
yeah,
I,
one
I'll,
should
I'll,
therefore,
I'll read this the next paragraph, paragraphs and the Sanskrit, and then you can read the other part of it. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last chapter, this last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, that the Supreme, is made possible by this prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and foremost, or most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tat Shrinu, hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has to therefore learn from Krishna directly, or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart, puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. Shrinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Radiantasto Yabadrani Vidunoti Saritsatam Nastapayeshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloki Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki Tadarajastamo Bhavo Kamalobadayas Chaye Chaitai Taranavidam Stitam Satve Prasiditi Evam Prasana Manaso Bhagavat Bhakti Yogata Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasi Jayate Vidite Ridi Grantis Chindate Samrashamshaya Kshanti Chasikarmani Drishta Evatmanishware. Yeah, these are like the key verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. These are so wonderful, these verses. You can read the English translation of all these. This is the first canto, chapter 2, 17 through 21. These are actually some of the gurus, like in ISKCON, like Vaisheshika Prabhu, he gives class, he recites all these verses every time before he gives a class, because they're really, really nice verses. They just describe how Krishna consciousness is transforming a living entity and becoming, and purifies them and makes them Krishna conscious, and gets rid of all the dirt in their heart and becomes Krishna conscious then. So go ahead and read that last paragraph there.
to hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures, or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad-gītā, is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best-wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lusts and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of
Samsayam Samagram.
Understanding the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna.
These verses, this is just like a synopsis of these verses. Let me show you these verses really as they are directly in the Bhagavatam. I'll just read the English translation, because these verses are really profound. First canto, chapter 2, text 17. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance on classes in the Bhagavatam, like we're doing today, and rendering of devotional of service to pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effect of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of God and in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus, the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruit of action is terminated when one sees the self as master. Those are great verses. That's in a chapter called Devotional Service, the second chapter of first canto. Prabhupada said he put everything in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. It's the best book in the world. Of course, Bhagavad-gītā, it's a great book too, because it's spoken by Krishna himself, but devotees always really like the Bhagavatam because, it's got more in it. It's actually the graduate study of Krishna consciousness. Krishna spoke the Bhagavad-gītā, it's only 700 verses, but the Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses. On other planets, actually, they say it has like a billion verses or something. It's pretty amazing. So here's text 2, and then you can read the purport after I read the Sanskrit here. Gyanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyame aseshata yajnatvaneha bhuyo nyaj Gyatmayam avashishyate. Synonyms: Jnanam, phenomenal knowledge. Te, unto you, aham, I, sa, with. Vijnanam, numinous knowledge. Idam, this. Vakshyami, I shall explain. Visheshata, in full. Yat, which, natva, knowing, na, not. Iha, in this world. Bhuya, further. Anyat, anything more. Natavyam, knowable. Avashishyate, remains. Translation: I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both nominal or phenomenal and numinous. Thus being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Purport. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to look up the word numinous really quickly.
Yeah. In the
Religious
old version of Bhagavad-gītā, let me see if I can look it up for you here.
I looked it up real quick.
They had nominal and phenomenal, but numinous, let me just see, search the web, search site.
Having strong religious or spiritual quality, indicating or suggesting the presence of divinity.
Yeah, that's actually a nicer version of that word. They change it from nominal to numinous. That adds a spiritual quality. Yeah, that makes sense. Some people like really let's see here. I'm trying to get through this sidebar here. They don't like the changed version because they say you're changing Prabhupada's books, but actually they're more in line with what Prabhupada meant. I don't. It's just a huge kerfuffle, but I don't like to get involved in controversy. I don't talk about viruses or vaccines, or book changes, or Ritvik or gluten, or anything. I don't talk about that. I just run away.
Right.
It makes it very simple. I just try to hear Krishna, what Krishna is saying. I don't know anything. Krishna knows everything, so why not listen to him? And if I listen to myself, my own mind, or if anybody listens to me, what gain is it? They don't know that I don't know anything. But if you repeat Krishna's words in the Bhagavad-gītā, it's actually it's coming from the spiritual world. So it's not just even guiding. I saw this one guy, he posted something about the Bible, and he on Facebook, and he said, the Bible, it's just pointing the way to God. God himself is in of himself. So the Bible is just an idol. I said, no, it's not. It's not an idol. It's actually pointing the way. Not only is it pointing the way, but would you say that the Bhagavad-gītā and Srimad Bhagavatam are idols? because they were spoken by Krishna and either, by Krishna or written by Krishna in the form of Vyasadeva. So it's not really an idol. And to call it an idol is actually blasphemous, because these books are really special. When I was back in the 1970s, when I checked out some books from the local college in Whitewater, University of Wisconsin, and I was bringing the books home, and I felt like I was carrying a presence in my arms. I felt like, oh my God, there's something here, and I don't know what it is, but it felt weird. It's like, these books are not ordinary. If you even touch these books, they're and they're worshipable. You don't want to put them on the floor. You don't want to use them for firewood or something like that. They're actually very, very sacred. And so we should treat them like that. Anything in relation to Krishna is sacred. Even the devotees, anything having to do with the place of his birth, of the land he was born in, everything is in connection with Krishna is totally sacred. So we have to treat and respect it in that way, especially devotees, because they're our only connection to Krishna. Krishna says, he who claims to be my devotee is not my devotee. He who says that he's the devotee of my devotee, he's my devotee. So that's the way it works. So go ahead and read the purport. Are you satisfied with that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right, purport. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above-mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas.
Mundaka Upanishad 113 says, Kasmin tu bhagavo nijate sarvamidam vigyantam bhavatiti. Yeah, I just remember, when I first saw Radha Vrindavan Chandra, the deities in New Vrindavan, I drew a picture of them, and I would read Prabhupada's books, and he would say something about like something going on in a far off land. And I was thinking, actually, when you're seeing Krishna in the form of the deity, or you're reading Prabhupada's books, you know everything. You've seen everything. If you've seen Krishna, and if you know these books, and if you're in line with that, if you're getting this knowledge, then you already know everything. I mean, you don't know everything, but you yourself, but you have access to everything. And, actually drew a pretty good picture of them, even though I was really a new devotee. So Krishna's in everyone's heart, but that's what it means by, when you know Krishna, you know everything nominal and not numinous, phenomenal and numinous. We're not saying we're know-it-alls. We're just saying that we are in touch with the source of all knowledge, and we can answer any question that anyone might have. Plus, we have the answer to everyone's problems, everyone's anxieties, and the path or method to becoming peaceful in mind and steady in consciousness and satisfied in and of our, in ourself, not having to search outside ourselves for some kind of extra thing or sense gratification or any kind of mental speculation. We're satisfied in the knowledge of Krishna. Whatever he gives is perfect. So we shouldn't actually think that we're smarter than Krishna, because otherwise, if you think like that, then you're pretty egotistical, wouldn't you think? If you think you're smarter than God. I mean, one time Trump, he said, you're not Leslie Stahl from 60 Minutes, she said to him, you're not known as a very humble man. And
he said that to him?
Trump said, actually, I'm more humble than you could possibly understand. I put that up on Facebook. I said, #humble brag. Nobody can be as more puffed up than that guy. It's amazing. But, pride goeth before the fall.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny because, he's not even self-aware of that he doesn't even know what humility means. There's not a humble cell
More
in
than
his
you can
body.
imagine.
Real humility, though, I mean, he's exactly the opposite of humble. He's exactly the opposite of what, the third verse of the Śikṣāṣtaka prayers are: more humble than a blade of grass, more talented than a tree, ready to offer all respects to others, not expecting anything, and ready to offer all respect. That way you can chant Hare Krishna all the time.
When
But
you were
when you have
talking
that,
about,
yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, when you were talking about knowing everything, I think about that part in the Bhagavad-gītā a lot where they say that a pure devotee is good at everything.
Yeah.
And I think, of course, they mean only things you need to know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh
you'll
yeah,
know
yeah. You don't want
everything,
to
all the things you need. Because if you don't need to know it, why
yeah,
would you?
yeah. It's on a need to know basis. We don't need to know all that stuff that's in the world. The world is endlessly mutable. There's so many different types of illusion in the world, and people think they create whole institutions and educational systems around everything but Krishna. I used to be kind of a political junkie, and I'd watch the TV shows, the pundits on, arguing on TV. And I used to complain to my wife. I said, why don't they talk about Krishna? Why are they always arguing and stuff? She just started laughing at me, because why would they? The reason that everybody's here in this material world is because they want to talk about everything besides Krishna. Everyone's rebellious. Otherwise, why would we be here? We're here in the material world because we didn't want to surrender to Krishna and serve him and enjoy and serve his senses. Instead, we wanted to serve our own senses and become mini controllers, mini gods. And so my mentor back in the 80s, Dave Amritaswamy, he's a big guru now in New Zealand, but he said, if you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and you see a material body, you've made a mistake. So it's true, if you have a material body, this is not a real home. We're like a fish out of water. We're meant to be in the spiritual world with Krishna, and we got to go back home, back to Godhead, because this place sucks. As you can see, like Russia's invading Ukraine. It's like the United States is on the verge of civil war. But my wife says we're not moving. It doesn't matter, even if Russia invades the United States, even if there's blood in the streets in downtown Pittsburgh, we're not moving. So I guess we're stuck here. I was saying, oh man, if the Republicans win or Trump wins again in 2024, we got to move to Canada. At least they have some hockey up there. She's a big hockey fan. But he says, no, we're not moving. That was just a bluff. Because we had such a hard time moving before, so we're not moving again. Pittsburgh is our forever home.
Well, they'll definitely need her. If there's a war, they'll need her more than ever.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. We're even thinking of, we got ready to get solar panels for our house. And we're thinking about getting a battery because, they have all these like cyber warfare, they could shut down the grid, and then you'd have like solar panels. It'd be like being off the grid. You could like charge a house and run things, without, so I'm thinking about doing that, but
Yeah.
I don't really care. I mean, whatever happens is going to happen. I'm not in anxiety about it. I can live the devotee can live in hell. He doesn't care, as long as he can serve Krishna. The devotee does the same thing in heaven or in hell. There's a wheat thrasher. There's a mechanism that thrashes wheat from the grain, and it works the same whether it's in hell or in heaven. So it doesn't matter where a devotee is. We're doing the same thing. Even in the spiritual world, we're serving Krishna. So what difference does it make whether we live or die? And as Prabhupada said, what if there's they asked him, they were talking about World War III. This is back in the 70s during the Cold War, and what do we do, Prabhupada, if the atomic bomb comes? And he would say, chant Hare Krishna. He has the same answer for everything, so, a other devotee would say, my mind, Prabhupada, I can't control my mind. He said, chant Hare Krishna. But my mind, Prabhupada, just chant Hare Krishna. But, and read the Bhagavad-gītā, because I find that reading the Bhagavad-gītā is really, it's like my best friend, it's, I'm actually going to start this all over again. I might start another book at a different time, but I've always thought of the Bhagavad-gītā as my friend. It's like a 24/7 self-help book, but you just like open it up and Krishna starts talking to you. And, that's the only thing that you have to focus on, because he is everything that matters. Like you said, there's all kinds of stuff that doesn't matter. Like, you could go on surfing the internet, but, as Betty White says, the internet is like a huge pile of garbage.
Right. So Bhagavad-gītā is a lot more accessible than a therapist, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. And I used to see a therapist myself. Well, before I came to New Vrindavan, I was like a little bit, I was like hitchhiking all over the United States in the late 70s. And I was thinking that my thoughts could control things. And I was like a little bit psychotic, and, I think I would like, I don't think I heard voices, but it was like, I was thinking in so many different things that my thoughts could affect other people. And that's crazy, And so, but the thing is, like, if you're in Krishna consciousness, you don't, if you can control your mind. I was seeing a therapist at the time. I had an idea I was going to go to some spiritual pilgrimage, because my heart was in the right place, but my mind was like all over the place, and you could talk to any devotee in New Vrindavan who knew me back then, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, he was like bonkers. But I said to my therapist, I want to go to this community in West Virginia, it's a spiritual community. He said, no, you were just going to keep you here on medication, we'll keep you medicated and we'll just observe you, for a while. I got pissed. I said, look, I'm going to this place and I don't care, and I just like stormed out. I slammed the door. And so I didn't, even though I was crazy, my heart was in the right place. And he was like taking the last shred of my identity away from me by, keeping me medicated and, all that stuff. And I wanted to go, my heart was with Krishna, and I just hitchhiked all the way across the country. And, but it was dangerous, but, because I didn't have any money, nothing. I was just like, I would go into a restaurant and drink the cream, it's like crazy, but, somehow or other, I ended up, I got kicked out of LA and I found my way back. And then in New Vrindavan, the way I came to New Vrindavan, I was like looking in the back of the Bhagavad-gītā, and all these different farm communities and things were enlisted in the back. And I called them up, and I called the one in North Carolina. That didn't seem, New Taliban didn't seem like a very big place, And I called New Vrindavan, and I said, well, how many devotees do you have there? He said, or how many people are there? He said, like 700 or something, we got 4,000 acres. I said, wow, that sounds like a happening place,
That's so many people. That's a lot more than now.
Oh yeah, they were huge back then in the late 70s, early 80s. And I said, oh, I was just a new devotee. I didn't know anything about Krishna or anything, but I just wanted to go because the whole idea of the devotee's lifestyle just made sense to me. I didn't know anything about Krishna or the philosophy, obviously, because I asked him, you got 700 people? He said, you got any girls there? Because I was like 25 years old, He said, yeah, we got girls, come on down, And so, but it kind of reminds me of this cartoon that I saw in a monastery. A new monk came in, and the old monk was explaining to him what they did. Okay, we rise at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then our breakfast is lettuce and goat cheese. And the guy said, well, what about girls? And so
he's like, leave.
He didn't know anything about anything. And similarly, I didn't know anything about anything. But somehow or other, Krishna saved me and I became sane. If I didn't go to New Vrindavan and get involved with the Krishna consciousness movement, I would be dead or in an insane asylum right now. I'll tell you, that's true. So let's see, where are we? I think you read the last paragraph, so I'll read text 3. We got, let's see, 8 minutes left. Or do you need to leave before then?
No, we didn't get very far.
Yeah, well, I'm just running my mouth. We usually do about,
No, that was a
6
fascinating
verses. We do about
story.
6 verses every time when I'm with Mike. We have questions and answers, and we talk, if he has any comments or anything, we'll exchange thoughts like that. But
Well,
that's also, part of being with devotees. You reveal your mind,
well,
questions.
that therapist almost kept you from your destiny. I know. I was calling around. I had a day off a couple days ago. I was calling around trying to find one because I just have a hard time once in a while, and they were all on vacation.
Who was?
All of the therapists I called.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think everybody's on vacation now. I don't know why, but like half the people on MSNBC are on vacation. Whenever I watch the news, it's like, okay, all right. I call her my conservative girlfriend, the Nicole Wallace from that show that starts at 4 o'clock for 2 hours.
That's funny.
I think it's called the Deadline White House or something like that. She's on vacation. Rachel Maddow's on vacation. Even Gail King. We watch the news in the morning too, so she was on vacation for like a week and a half. But a lot of people are on vacation.
It's a weird time to do that.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in the world. But anyway, let me read this, and I'll get at least a couple more verses in here. Mnusinam shashreshu kashid yatate siddhaya yatatam api siddhanam kashchin mam vititatpata. This is a great verse. Synonyms: Manusinam, of men or women. Okay, see, a lot of people have a problem with the Bhagavad-gītā. They only say men, it's like men and women, because men and women are the same. They have a spirit, soul. We're just the body. It doesn't matter. We could be men in one life and women in the next life, but we're not these bodies, fortunately. Manusyanam, of men, Sahasreshu, out of many thousands, Kashchit, someone, Yatati, endeavors, Siddhaye, for perfection, Yatatam, of those so endeavoring, Api, indeed, Siddhanam, those who have achieved perfection, Kashchit, someone, Mam, me, Vedi, does know, Tatvata, in fact. Translation: out of many thousands among men or women, one may endeavor for perfection. Of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. You read the first paragraph, I'll read the second one.
Okay. Purport: there are various grades of men and women, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by
Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga,
and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the time he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripada
Shankaracharya,
has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman.
I'll read the second paragraph in the Sanskrit here. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Adir Govinda Sarvakarna Karnam. It's very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy as a non-devotee class of men proclaim, why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy, but one that is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12101, Shruti Smriti Prananadi Panchratra Vidina Aikantiki Hare Bhaktir Upatayaiva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord.
You want me to go?
I'll just read this one sentence here. This is the translation of this verse, and then you can read the last paragraph or up to the next Sanskrit. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures, like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Panchratra, is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. You can read this paragraph now.
It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muyati.
Mam tu veda na kaschana.
No one knows me as I am, the Lord says, and if one does know him, then Samahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is. Tattva.
Tattva means truth.
Even though he is a great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna. His being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said,
Atasi Krishna namadi na bhaved girimindriya seva mukhehi jiva do swayameva spratida. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12234. That's a really important point. No one can know Krishna. It doesn't matter how much, how much book learning you have, how much austerities you perform, how much charity you give away, who you know, like what you've done in your life. You can perform sacrifices. You can, lay on a bed of nails. None of these things impress Krishna, but he reveals himself. You can go searching for Krishna at the speed of the mind, which is like can go millions of miles an hour. You can go like to the other side of the earth with your mind, think of a place, but you cannot understand Krishna by any process other than because he's not material. The mind and the senses are material, but he reveals himself to his devotee when he's pleased with him. So Krishna, when he's pleased by our loving service, if we surrender and serve him, the only thing we have to do is really surrender. What we're reading on this book here, when we're actually only concentrated on that, and as you say, put all the other stuff away, whatever is not related to that, even your own minds, if you want to interpret this way or that way, what he's saying here, just forget about all that. Just, understand what's coming off the page and then just focus on that. And that is Krishna. This scripture is Krishna himself. He is, he's coming in the scriptures, he's coming in his name, and all of his devotees are actually like walking representatives of him. So that's really nice too. In fact, that's actually the only way you can actually develop love for Krishna is by understanding and relating to people who already are on that path. Later on or before in the Bhagavad-gītā, it says, Tadvidi panipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gyanam gyanas tattvadarshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because he's seen the truth. Truth is Krishna. And it says in the next verse, when you've thus learned the truth, you will understand that all the living beings are but part of me. They're in me and they're mine. And so every living being is actually part and parcel of Krishna. And when you know that, you know everything. You know all the people, you know our relationship with them, you know their place in the universe, you know the material universe, you know the spiritual universe, you know everything nominal and numinous. That's a new word for me too. I didn't even know what that meant, because that wasn't in the original Bhagavad-gītā. But anyway, we got 3 done. That's good.
Yay.
So you know, we'll pick up again if you can make it on Friday. I don't know if you're working then, but we'll see.
We'll see. I would have to check.
Yeah. But thank you so much for rescuing me. I like to do this on a regular basis. And unfortunately, Mike didn't know that he was preoccupied. He'd like made that reservation for the dentist like 6 months ago. And then all of a sudden he got a pop-up on his phone. He said, oh yeah, I got to go to the dentist. So that's not as fun as reading the Bhagavad-gītā.
Yeah.
The Bhagavad-gītā is awesome. So thank you very much. And we'll speak to you next time. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Haribol.
Bye.
Bye.